Vancouver.mediaco.ca.
Amazing event. Thank you guys so much for doing this. Wow, the 1-year anniversary of the BP oil spill. What a horrible day to have.
I'm irresponsible extractor.
Of course, it lasted for months and months and months. Okay. This is just the first day of it.
You are?
I'm here just to say a couple words about the big Earth Day parade that's happening on Friday. It's the 41st anniversary of Earth Day. And for anybody who doesn't remember the history of Earth Day, the very first one had something like, I don't know, 10 million people were involved across the United States. And that's where the Environmental Protection Agency came from, the Clean Air Act, and a lot of the other environmental legislation that still is around today. Of course, it's all being dismantled little by little, or even big parts at a time. So we're trying to reclaim the radical history of Earth Day. There's an amazing group of high school students who've organized this giant parade. It's going to go down Commercial Drive, starting at 11 o'clock at the corner of Commercial and Broadway. And the students today are actually unveiling a windmill that they've made entirely from recycled bottles and bicycle parts. So that's why I got to run off after this, is to go and be part of this ceremony to unveil their windmill. But I just wanted to tell you one thing in terms of what these students are trying to do. They're also reclaiming the peace sign. And they're doing it for kind of a fun reason. It's not just about being at peace with the Earth, although that's part of it. They want you to think about the fact that the Earth is running a fever. You know, when you take a thermometer out of your mouth and you see that it's gone up 1 or 2 degrees, you're actually pretty sick. And when you tell people that the planet's temperature might go up about 2 degrees, you know, it doesn't sound like much, but when you think about a system in balance like your body, and how 2 degrees can make a huge big difference, you know, you can get everything from cold sweats to a horrible fever where you're feeling really hot, you know, as the end result of that 2 degrees difference. We're seeing the same thing on the planet already. You know, there's as many people in Pakistan living in refugee camps as live in the entire province of British Columbia. And at least half of that is the end result of these doubling of weather conditions, the doubling of extreme weather events, you know, the consequences of climate change that are very real and are being felt already. So we want people to think about the 2 things that you can do to deal with that 2 degrees temperature increase. We want you to think about, you know, the impact of both reducing supply and demand. We want you to think about, you know, how we can reduce the amount of oil that we're dependent on. And the 2 things that we're suggesting that we could do here in BC is, number 1, reduce our exports of fossil fuels. So that's everything from oil to coal. We need to ban the tankers off our coast. Can I get a ban the tankers off the coast? Who wants to ban tankers off the coast? Anybody here? Cool, thank you. Yeah, the BP oil spill should be a reminder that we've got this new threat of oil tankers off our coast and we can do something about it. So that's one thing we can do here in BC. And the other thing we can do is stop the crazy highway development. You know, we're spending way, way, way more money on building new highways than we are on public transit and light rail. We'd like to see that turned around. We want that money to go from highways to public transit, because we can reduce our demand by moving away from highways. We can reduce the supply by moving away from oil exports and coal exports. So anyway, thank you guys so much for organizing this event. I hope I see you out at the Earth Day Parade on Friday. Have a great day.
The BP oil spill, the largest maritime disaster in history, which claimed the lives of 11 people initially, much more since, and which is still being cleaned up to this day, and they're doing a half-assed job. And they're more interested in their bottom line and looking good than actually cleaning that oil up. And actually, they just announced that they're going to start drilling again in the Gulf, and expanding. So we're standing outside the Goldcorp headquarters, and we'll shortly be moving over to Enbridge. And I personally hope we don't have to be here in a few years protesting the devastation of the environment that would be caused by further extractive industry in Vancouver and in British Columbia, in Canada, and in the world, lamenting the death of our coast. As many of you know, Enbridge's proposed pipeline would cross 1,000 streams and rivers, including tributaries to some of the world's most salmon-rich rivers. The pipeline would also bring tankers capable of carrying 8 times the amount of oil transported by the Exxon Valdez which spilled a few years back and completely devastated the environment through some of the coast's most treacherous waters, which would be the Inside Passage just up the coast. According to Francis Benek of the Natural Resource Defense Council, the Gulf of Mexico saw a $62 million decline in dockside sales after the spill. People working in the tourist industry were also hard hit. The Gulf Coast Claims Facility has paid $1.5 billion in lost earnings from the hotel, food, rental properties, and tourism industries to date. Some hotels report strong springback business this year, but many fishing guides and boat rental operators say revenues are way down because tourists seem to be hesitant to go out in the water. And this is a quote from the National Resources Defense Council. It is estimated that 56,000 jobs would be put at risk if there were an oil spill in BC's north coast, 26,000 jobs in the fishing industry, which are directly dependent on a healthy marine environment, and 30,000 positions dependent on BC's coastal ecotourism sector. Risking our waters and livelihoods of thousands of people who work in fisheries and tourism seems wildly irresponsible. But this isn't the only irresponsible extraction we see in BC. On today's program, which we'll get to shortly once we move here, this is just a warm-up. We've got speakers and performers who are working and engaging with issues of coal export, the pervasive transnational mining corporation, and the controversial South Fraser Perimeter Road, which is a project close to home here where they're building a highway through arable farmland to effectively ship oil and large resources in very unsustainable ways.
When the donation was announced, and he says he wrote the first Dear Goldcorp poem shortly thereafter, just feeling angry and shocked really, and reading up on the company and its activities. They really and very clearly exemplified so much that is wrong with global capitalism and our dependence on resource extraction. I became involved with SAG, which is SFU against Goldcorp gentrification, but didn't really write any more poems until Goldcorp's lawyers threatened to slap suit. Then I thought, I can say the things they said before that were considered libelous in the form of a poem. I'm still not sure if I might be slapped with a suit, but I think it's important to bear witness, to call a spade, and to challenge and to follow poetry into those places, you know, because it can have some sudden shifts that you might not get away with in other forms of rhetoric. So, without further ado, and before we move on to our next location, Dear Goldcorp, consider the conditions. The rapid pace of mergers, outstripped strip mines, outsourced mines cannot hold, all the tailings lighting jungles of gold. Imagine peering into the digital inferno as the guilty conscience of the global hegemon donates pocket change to education and culture and sustainability. The stains of this coloring, the sidewalks, a gentrified gold. Now step back from the precipice. It's just a poem, after all. Culture tearing itself up out of love and complicity with mergers and acquisitions. Red Lake, sodium sulfate, polluting Los Filos and San Dimas. It's a fucking gold mine. The accumulation just doesn't get any more primitive than this heap leach method. Conquistadores, ya basta, took their hearts out in their hands and threw them on the temple. Read bank steps. This is how the big boys do it. From a carbon disclosure project to a biodiversity project. Talk sustainability, but pollute the shit out of the motherfucker. Move people and profits around like plastic risk pieces. Drain lakes and divert streams. Poison wells and remove mountains. Clear forests and indigeneity. Don't touch the legal tender parts, the heap money method, the drive campesinos from their land and homes method, carbon increase project, biodestruction project. There's gold in them, their hills, ideology, in them, their words. Student learning commons, intellectual property, gold bricks stacked where books used to burgeon. Have we learned anything? Learned how to make a buck and forget? Sustainability report, blatant lies report, spills from the slurry pipeline, seepage plumes under the water, clouds of powder traveling on the wind, ammonium, arsenic, cadmium, mercury, an elemental chart drawn Canada down to Argentina. Dear, fucked up machinery of love and consumption. We need to extract the extractors from our midst, repeal the dirty money donated, but we also need a way out of the gap we've fallen into. That capital is forged between what is and what we might project outside, while outside this gold bars clink in critical spaces, while digitally we are declared defunct, or at least less profitable, less sustainable, less material. So don't forget your lyric valuables as you escape the disaster with all the cultured pearls and golden fleeces you can carry. Dear Gold Core, dear donor, dear open pit abyss, the shudder you feel is all of us leaving our chairs at once, heading someplace maybe you just can't buy your way out of or into this time. Thank you.
That here, welcome Kevin Washbrook of Stop Coal to say a few words. Thanks.
Thank you. I think everyone who's left here probably knows what I'm going to say already, but I'll get it out of my system anyway. So everyone out there in the world, coal exports are the next big carbon battleground, and BC and Vancouver in particular are on the front lines. We have North America's largest coal port just a few miles away from here at Roberts Bank near the Tsawwassen Ferry Terminal. And when you add up all the coal that BC mines and exports, when it's burned, it produces as much emissions as we produce here at home in BC. And so that's a lot. And right now there are 19 more coal mines in the planning process in BC, so this is only going to get worse. And unfortunately, that's only sort of the tip of the iceberg. The U.S. government just announced that they has just auctioned 2 billion tons of coal in Wyoming. Put it simply, if that coal is burned, we're not going to make it. So groups up and down the U.S. West Coast right now are organizing to stop the construction of coal ports in Washington and Oregon. And if that happens, all those coal trains point north to BC. So we literally here in BC are the cork in the bottle when it comes to stopping the offshoring of coal from North America, and the offshoring of carbon from North America. And it's going to take direct action by citizens like you to make that happen. Unfortunately, they're already slipping it in the back door, and it's right now at Westport by the ferry terminal. They tripled the export of coal from the U.S. last year, and then Ridley and Prince Rupert, they want to double the export of American coal from there, and they've just signed long-term contracts with big U.S. coal companies. We can't let this happen, so it's up to people like us to get out there and make it to stop it. If you want to find out more about the Stop Coal campaign, I'm happy to tell you, and I've got some postcards I can give you as well. So thanks a lot.
At the Four Seasons Hotel, where the Bank of Montreal was having their AGM, their annual general meeting, where all of the bank's shareholders get together and they vote on really boring things. They don't really talk about much of any import. But it is a very strategic opportunity to insert some environmental consciousness into these meetings. And we had a delegation from the Yinka Dene Alliance, which is a group representing 5 First Nations up north in British Columbia, who are adamantly opposed to the Northern Gateway Pipeline being pushed by Enbridge and other corporate cronies. And they're adamantly opposed against it because it crosses their waterways, it crosses their lands, it will destroy their rivers, it'll destroy the coast where their neighbors are, and they're here to protect the land for their children and their children's children ad infinitum, essentially. And so they went inside and they gave a presentation to the bank's meeting, and we had a little party outside. And they were asking for the bank to implement a policy of free, prior, informed consent when determining the environmental and social sustainability of their investments. And free, prior, informed consent effectively means that any project needs to get the full informed consent of all affected communities, and in the case of the pipeline and many extractive industry, these are indigenous communities, people who have been here on this land for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, much longer than us, and they knew how to sustainably live on this land, and then we came, and and so they're here to educate us about ways to live more sustainably, and effectively all they're asking for is to recognize their rights to say no to environmentally destructive and socially destructive projects. And we'll see what the bank does on that one, but I don't know if I have a lot of hope, and I think we need all forms of action and all forms of resistance to do everything we can to protect the environment. And one of those things is gathering like this on a public street corner, getting a group together, getting some great speakers, hearing some powerful words from many different people about why we need corporate accountability, banking accountability, and for the sake of the environment, for the sake of our communities. And so I think Telqua is ready here. So Vancouver, and it's from the Sliamin First Nation. Maybe she can pronounce that properly later, which stands for Shallow Waters. Oh, sorry, the song Shallow Waters, which she'll be performing, is one of 5 songs co-written by Takaya and her singing instructor, professional songwriter, pianist, Aileen de la Cruz. Takaya is also known for singing Amazing Grace in the Sliamin language, translated by her grandfather. Takaya began working with Aileen since the age of 5 and has performed at large events in both BC and Washington. She also sings and plays the violin at various coffee shops in Vancouver and North Van. A grade 4 homeschooled student, Takaya particularly enjoys studying about the oceans and marine life. It is her idea to write a song about an oil spill. When Takaya and Aileen began writing Shallow Waters, it was to raise awareness about a proposed oil pipeline planned between the Alberta tar sands and Kitimat, BC. By the time the song was almost finished, the oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico suddenly happened. And so with that grave reminder, on the 1-year anniversary of the BP oil spill, I'd like to invite Takaya to perform her song for us.
My name is Takaya, and I'm from the Sliamin Nation, and my singing teacher's name is Eileen. I'm gonna sing Shallow Waters. This song was written because of the proposed Enbridge Pipeline that was going to go from Alberta tar sands to Kitimat, BC. It's proposed to do that, and that would, if that leaked, that would like destroy the whole area around that. And just, we can't, with us, we're polluting every day, and we just can't keep on doing that, because we need to help our earth, not destroy it. So this song is about an oil spill happening on our coast. Shallow waters I can't see, your clear waves lapping at my feet, the lifeless ocean, black not blue. I didn't help but deep down I knew. In shallow waters I used to see dolphins playing in front of me, the seaweeds swaying, keeping time, spiral rhythms, laugh not cry. Oh, 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 why do tears fall from the sky? Oh, 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 have we given up? Please tell me why. Remember the salty ocean breeze, we used to build castles on the beach, splashing around in the summer heat. Now it's just oil up to our knees. Bring back the days we used to care, when all of these troubles were not there. Cry for help, this is my song. If we do nothing, it'll all be gone. God created to be, but tankers and pipelines keep coming through. I turned my head and so did you. Oh, 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 why do tears fall from the sky? Oh, oh, have we given up? Please tell me why. Remember the salty ocean breeze? We used to build castles on the beach, splashing around in the summer heat. Now it's just all up to our knees. Bring back the days we used to care, when all of these troubles were not there. Cry for help, this is my song. If we do nothing, it'll all be gone. Through the Emerald Sea, where black gold spills into my ocean dreams. Nothing to be found, no life is around, just the sound of morning in the air, silence everywhere. Oh, 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 why do tears fall from the sky? Oh, 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 have we given up? Please tell me why. Remember the salty ocean breeze? Used to build castles on the beach, splashing around in the summer heat. Now it's just all up to our knees. Bring back the days we used to care, when all of these troubles were not there. Cry for help, this is my song. If we do nothing, it'll all be gone. If we do nothing, it'll all be gone. Oh. In shallow waters I can't see your clear waves lapping at my feet.
We're through with you. So welcome to the world premiere of Irresponsible Extraction. We're through with you. Earlier today, the Ad Hoc Theatre Company performed this play at the Enbridge offices up in the Bentall One Center, whom they invited to come down and check out our little action down here. I don't know if anyone made it from Enbridge. Are there any Enbridge delegates here? Yeah, I didn't think so.
Hey, we need to talk.
I would love to, Dave, but I've got a meeting.
Another meeting?
That's what I do.
Enough is enough. I just can't wait any longer.
Look, I know what you're going to say. Take. Plunder, plunder, plunder. That's all I ever do. But I haven't got time to have this conversation. I've got to get to a meeting.
Another meeting where you decide the next gash?
Earth, no, it's not like that. The people need me to do this. Otherwise, where's the energy going to come from?
Erie, look at me. I'm in shreds. There's got to be other ways to get what you need from me. There's wind, there's wave, there's geothermal, there's always the sun.
You make it sound easy.
It is that easy. You just need to make a choice. Look, the people have been talking to me. They're talking about how they're getting sick. They're talking to me about how the climate is changing. They're talking about how species are disappearing. I can't believe I've stood for your abuse for so long.
You'll adapt. Look, here's some money. Here, go fund an arts organization or buy yourself a reclamation project or something, no? Well, here, take this. Take this. Here. Keep that.
I don't need your cheap knockoff to tell me that it's time for us to end this relationship.
But you don't give me a chance to explain. You just come storming in here.
Every breath you take is a chance to explain. Now get out.
What is this, some kind of joke? My colleagues will hear.